This was a massive spot to be in for such a young talent, to have a sold-out crowd completely behind her.
Eala from the Philippines could be the next big thing in pro tennis.
This is the goal, to do well on the WTA Tour. I'm super proud of what I was able to accomplish, but the end goal is to win slams.
Alex Eala just made history, and the tennis world is still trying to process it. She walked into Dubai ranked 47th, beat a top 10 player, reached the quarterfinals of a WTA 1000 event, and walked out with a ranking that no Filipino tennis player has ever achieved before. The rivals saw the numbers, and they are not smiling. Drop a comment below. Do you think Alex Eala can break into the top 20 before the French Open? And how deep do you see her going at Indian Wells and Miami?
New career high para kay Pinay tennis star Alex Eala ang kanyang ranking ngayon sa Women's Tennis Association.
Let's start with the number because the number is the whole story. World number 32. That is where Alex sits in the WTA rankings after her Dubai Duty-Free Tennis Championships campaign ended in the quarterfinals. She arrived in Dubai ranked 47th. She is leaving ranked 32nd. That is a 15-spot jump from a single tournament in which she did not win the title, did not reach the final, and lost her last match to the third seed in straight sets. And yet, world number 32, a new career high, the highest ranking ever achieved by a Filipino tennis player in the history of the Open era. Let that sink in fully before we go anywhere else. Not just the highest ranking she has personally achieved, the highest ranking any Filipino tennis player has ever reached in the modern history of professional tennis. She has entered territory that nobody from her country has ever entered before. And she did it at 20 years old while losing a quarterfinal. The math behind the jump is worth understanding because it explains why reaching the quarterfinals of a WTA 1000 event produces results this significant. WTA 1000 tournaments sit just below Grand Slams in the ranking points hierarchy. A quarterfinal finish at one of them delivers 215 ranking points, a number that is genuinely difficult to accumulate at lower-tier events, even across multiple tournaments. In 1 week in Dubai, Eala gathered points that would have taken months of consistent results at smaller events to match. That is how the WTA ranking system rewards players who step up and perform on the biggest stages. The 15-spot jump from 47 to 32 is the direct result of those 215 points landing on top of the foundation she had already built. And the number 32 is not just satisfying as a career milestone. It is operationally significant in ways that change how the rest of her 2026 season looks. 32 is the seeding threshold at Grand Slams. Being ranked inside the top 32 guarantees a seeded position at all 4 major tournaments: the Australian Open, the French Open, Wimbledon, and the US Open. What seeding means practically is that you cannot face another seeded player until at least the 3rd round of a Grand Slam. The draw protects you from the tournament's best players for the first 2 rounds, giving you time to find your rhythm and build match sharpness before the elite competition arrives. For Eala specifically, the French Open becomes the most immediate conversation. She lost in the first round of Roland Garros in 2025, a result she will want to erase from the record as quickly as possible. Going to Paris as a seeded player in 2026 changes the structural reality of her tournament entirely. Instead of potentially drawing a top 10 seed in round 1 or 2, she gets a protected path into the 3rd round at minimum. For a player who has demonstrated she can beat top 10 players, her record against the elite tier now sits at 3 wins and 3 losses. Getting to the 3rd round before facing genuine resistance is a significant advantage. But before Paris, there is the American swing, and this is where the story gets genuinely exciting. Indian Wells starts March 4th. The Miami Open follows on March the 17th. Both are WTA 1000 mandatory events, meaning every top player in the world is required to compete. And the points on offer are among the highest available outside of Grand Slams. The winner of each event collects 1,000 points. A finalist takes 650. A semifinalist walks away with 390. Even a round of 16 finish delivers meaningful ranking points. Eala entering both tournaments as a seeded player, which her current ranking makes highly likely, means something very specific in a draw format that typically features 96 players. A seed in a 96-player draw earns a bye in the first round. While other players are grinding through opening matches, getting tired, and potentially picking up minor physical issues, a seeded player starts in the 2nd round fully rested and having watched the opposition work through their first match. That structural advantage compounds across a long tournament. The points math toward the top 20 is the part that makes rivals genuinely uncomfortable. The gap between world number 32 and world number 20 is approximately 800 to 1,000 ranking points. That sounds large. In the context of the American swing, it is not as large as it appears. If Eala reaches the round of 16 at both Indian Wells and Miami, she adds roughly 240 points to her current total. Not enough on its own for top 20, but a meaningful step. If she replicates anything close to her Miami form from 2025, where she reached the semifinals as a wild card ranked outside the top 100, the points accumulation becomes genuinely transformative. A semifinal finish at either tournament delivers 390 points. 2 deep runs across the American swing could realistically put her inside the top 25 before the clay season begins in April. A Cinderella run in Miami specifically, a tournament she has already demonstrated she loves, could push her to the edge of the top 20 before Paris. The Miami history is worth spending time on because it is directly relevant to how seriously to take these projections. In 2025, Eala entered the Miami Open as a wild card. Wild cards are players who receive special entry into a tournament outside of their ranking, meaning she was ranked low enough that she would not normally have made the main draw at all. She took that wildcard entry and proceeded to beat Jelena Ostapenko, then Madison Keys, who was ranked 5th in the world at the time, then Iga Swiatek, the world number 1, in straight sets to reach the semifinals. Read that back slowly. A wildcard entrant beat the world number 1 in straight sets at a WTA 1000 event. That run put Eala on the global tennis map in a way that no amount of smaller tournament results could have achieved. It demonstrated that her game, the left-handed topspin, the aggressive baseline patterns, the court coverage that reflects years of Rafa Nadal Academy training, translates at the very highest level under genuine match pressure. The Miami courts, the Miami atmosphere, the Miami crowd with its enormous Filipino community filling the stands and creating a home-away-from-home environment. All of it suits her in ways that have now been proven in competition rather than just theorized. She enters Miami 2026 not as a wild card ranked outside the top 100. She enters as world number 32. The difference in structural position between those two starting points is enormous. The seeding, the draw protection, the confidence from Dubai, the experience accumulated from a year of competing at this level regularly. Eala going to Miami in 2026 is a categorically different proposition from Eala going to Miami in 2025. And what she did in 2025 was reach the semifinals. The Filipino community dimension of the American swing is not something to dismiss as sentimental noise. It is a genuine competitive factor that affects how matches unfold. American tennis venues in California and Florida carry significant Filipino populations. And when Eala is playing at those venues, the crowd energy is not the polite, evenly distributed appreciation of a neutral audience. It is passionate, flag-waving, noise-generating support that rattles opponents who are accustomed to European crowd decorum. Players from the WTA's established European contingent, the French, the Czech, the Romanian, the Polish players who make up a large portion of the tour, are not prepared for what it sounds like when a packed Miami stadium is entirely behind one player in a way that resembles a basketball crowd rather than a tennis crowd. Eala herself has said that playing in America never feels like playing away from home. When her legs are tired and the match is close, the crowd gives her energy that opponents simply cannot access from their side of the net. That psychological and emotional advantage is real. It is documented across her American results, and it compounds at every venue where the Filipino community turns out in numbers. The Dubai quarterfinal against Coco Gauff was also useful as a specific data point about where Eala currently sits and what she needs to improve. The match showed 2 clear areas: fitness management across a tournament week and serve effectiveness under pressure. Neither of these is an unfixable problem. Both of them are areas where targeted work in the 3 weeks between Dubai and Indian Wells can produce measurable results. The physical conditioning issue, Eala looking tired in the quarterfinal despite having played fewer minutes than Gauff across the tournament, is addressable through training adjustments, recovery protocols, and the kind of focused preparation that the Rafa Nadal Academy is specifically designed to provide. The serve is a longer project, but the trajectory is visible. Adding pace and narrowing the margin on serve delivery will increase double faults in the short term as the adjustment settles. But it converts a weakness into a neutral shot and eventually a weapon. Every player who has made a significant serve improvement has gone through a period where the numbers got slightly worse before they got considerably better. Eala and her coach Juan Bosch are aware of the issue. The work is happening. What the Dubai campaign demonstrated most powerfully is that the mental infrastructure is already elite level. The Paolini win, 6 match points, tiebreak chaos. The forehand winner up the line to close it on attempt number 5 showed a player who does not collapse when the match gets complicated. Most players at this age facing that sequence of missed match points in a quarterfinal at a WTA 1000 event against a top 10 seed find something in their mechanics that breaks under the pressure. Eala found a forehand winner. That mental resilience is not something you can coach into a player on a whiteboard. It either exists or it does not. In Eala's case, it exists. And Dubai confirmed it under conditions that were genuinely difficult. The broader significance of reaching world number 32 extends well beyond Eala's individual career. It is the highest ranking ever achieved by a Filipino tennis player in the Open era. A fact that places her in a historical context that goes beyond sport. Tennis in the Philippines has existed as an aspiration for decades without producing a player who could sustain results at the top professional level. Eala is not just winning matches. She is establishing proof of concept for an entire country's relationship with the sport at the elite level. When she picked up a racket at 4 years old under the guidance of her late grandfather. When her parents made the decision to send her to the Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca as a teenager. When she navigated the transition from junior dominance to professional competition. None of that was guaranteed to produce a world number 32. The ranked players between 1 and 31 right now each have their own story of sacrifice and investment that brought them to where they are. Eala's story produced a ranking that nobody from her country had ever seen before. The rivals looking at the updated rankings after Dubai are doing the same calculation the rest of us are doing. A player who was 47 3 weeks ago is now 32nd. A player who reached the Miami semifinals as a wild card ranked outside the top 100 is now entering Miami as a seeded player with a career-high ranking. A player who has beaten 3 top 10 opponents and has never been blown off the court in any of her 5 meetings with elite players is heading to the 2 biggest non-Grand Slam events on the WTA calendar with momentum, confidence, and a crowd waiting for her in California and Florida. The panic is understandable. The numbers justify it. Indian Wells is March 4th. The Eala story is not slowing down. World number 32, a new career high. The highest ranking a Filipino tennis player has ever achieved. Alex Eala walked out of Dubai having lost her last match and somehow made history. Anyway, Indian Wells is 3 weeks away, and the whole tennis world is paying attention. Hit that like button, subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. See you next time.